Oh, how are you doing today?
Good, good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. So we're here with the Matatanes podcast. We have John from Gradum. Great facility if you want to go hit in Willoughby. I'm going to put their information down there. But we're going to talk a little bit about baseball today. So we're going to go from there. Obviously, you got the TV up there. Who's that guy right there?
The guy on the left, Lorenzo Garmendia. He's the guy that started it all.
Okay.
About 15 years ago.
Okay, and then he has two of the great ones right there, David Ortiz and Manny Ramirez. So
Two of the great ones, absolutely.
So I think Manny Ramirez was probably the best two-strike hitter of all time.
He's pretty good. I might say the best right-handed hitter of all time.
You know what? I agree. That was my favorite baseball player. But so how did Gradum get to Cleveland?
Okay, good question. So much like yourself, probably, and a lot of mothers and fathers out there, we're always looking for the best information for our kids.
Absolutely.
Hey, how are we going to get our kids to hit, be successful, things like that. My journey started out, honestly, I say when my own son was about 7 or 8 years old. I started doing research. I knew there was a better way than the things that I was taught, back when I was in Little League, high school, college, things like that. My journey took me to a guy who's out of Texas. Had a lot of conversations with him, did some stuff. And then, just searching Instagram, internet, just constantly trying to learn and improve and get better. Started working with someone and having these conversations out in California. And then, I started seeing Gradum pop up.
So is that a nationwide program, organization?
Gradum?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's good. I mean, we're expanding, quite a bit. It's going to be nationwide here very soon. But yeah, all the research that I was doing took me to Gradum. Simple Instagram text message like, "Hey man, I'm really interested in what you guys are doing. I think you guys have the missing link. Is there any way I could, check out to see what you guys are doing?" They said, anytime you want to fly down to Florida, come on down. So I took them up on that offer and just started bouncing around at their different facilities, the Miami facility, Jupiter, watching how they train the pro guys in and out. And it was no different. So how they would train a pro guy is no different than how we would train a high school kid, 13-year-old, 12-year-old, and all the way down to a 9-year-old.
That's amazing because all the kids are now getting all the same training. And it's so nice that, you send a text message and right away, hey, you want to fly down to Florida. So they're really approachable. So, it kind of creates a family environment per se.
And that's exactly what it is. I mean, you go down there, the hospitality, they treated me and my son at such a young age, no different than how they would treat a pro guy like an Alex Rodriguez, who was their first client.
Wow. That's a big name right there.
It's a big name. So obviously things, snowballed from there in a good way. The client list is pretty long. Manny Ramirez, Mookie Betts, Willie Adames, Francisco Lindor. The list goes on and on. So it's really impressive.
Wow, that is so amazing. I know my son has been there quite a few times, but, with the schedule, haven't been there lately. But eventually we'll get in there. But, what do you guys offer? What is Gradum? Obviously, we went back in the background, but what is Gradum for, somebody that wants to get their kid to the next level, hitting, what are you guys providing for these athletes?
Well, sure. You just kind of, you touched it. Gradum is Latin for next level.
Okay.
And we operate, with the Kaizen principle, continuous improvement. Typically, what we offer free swing evaluations.
Okay.
We contact you. We'll talk a little bit. You come in, we'll sit down, much like we are now. Hey, what's going good with the swing? What are some things that we can improve upon? We'll have that initial conversation, whether it's a kid or a parent looking for more power, consistent contact. We'll have those conversations. We'll then go ahead and get that player in the cage, whether it's baseball or softball player. We'll start, taking some video, and then we'll take them over to the big screen, as we call it, and kind of break things down. We'll do a side-by-side video analysis.
Wow. Yeah. With analytics and stuff?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll hook them up to the Rapsodo technology. Depending on the age, we'll explain to them, hey, this is where you need to be at this age. And then depending on their goals, whether it's just, hey, I just want to play some high school ball, I want to play some college ball, or hey, I want to go big time. We'll explain where they are now, what they need to do to get to that next level.
Okay. So what can the risotto do for the kid? I know obviously side by side and all that. Like what does it entail?
Quite a bit. We see a lot of people that just focus on exit velocity, and we do as well.
Okay.
That is a big thing. So that is the first thing that we will take a look at is a player's exit velocity and kind of explain to them how we can improve with that exit velocity. And then, once we see the jumps in exit velocity, we want to start looking at launch angle. I'm sure we can get into it a little bit later, but we don't teach a launch angle swing. Okay, every swing has a launch angle. Whether it's a ground ball is going to have a negative launch angle. There can be a 0 degree launch angle, and there's a positive degree launch angle. So we'll explain to them. We like for them to be 15 to 25 degrees. Some of the smaller kids, if you're like 130 pound, small little freshman, we'll bring that down a little bit and, explain, hey, we would like for you to be, 10 to 20 degree launch angle. Then we'll move on to spin direction. This kind of gets a little technical here, but for a right-handed hitter, we want their spin direction to be, if we're looking at a clock, military time would read all zeros. So all zeros is midnight, and midnight is center field. So for a right-handed hitter, we want the ball to be going to center field, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock direction.
Okay.
We want the ball to be hooking into fair territory.
So kind of like a lefty, because lefty have that natural tail.
Well, correct. Lefty would be more of a midnight, 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock direction. All right, we want to work towards the middle of the cage. We don't want a lefty to be hooking the ball, foul with a 3 o'clock spin, and then vice versa. We wouldn't want the right-hander, hooking the ball with a 9 o'clock spin. We work a lot of direction towards the center of the cage.
Okay, so why is that?
Great question. Okay, so the reason we work direction towards the center of the cage, and you'll see a lot of stuff on YouTube, Mookie Betts, all of our guys, working the center of the cage. We want to have that adjustability. Okay. Pitchers are out there. Pitchers are really good. They're trying to get us off time. So if we're a little bit late, okay, and our direction's working towards the center of the field, if we're a little bit late, we can still be successful and have a base hit, double, maybe an opposite field bomb to right field. If we're on time, we're going dead center. And if we're a touch early, which throughout the course of a spring, summer, fall session, we can still have success and pull that ball to left field. So if we're constantly working on pulling the ball, well, we're not going to handle that outside pitch, or we're going to hook a lot of that outside pitch to the shortstop, third baseman.
Oh, wow. That's really, really interesting. Actually, you have one of this kid played football for me, Finn Barman. And I tell you one thing, that I know he started working with you probably about a year now, right?
Yeah, just short of a year. But, yeah, he's kind of been with us from the beginning.
And, I tell you one thing, the growth that I've seen with him, everything, just as you explained, everything is left center. He does pull sometimes, but most of the time he's hitting the gap. So what you And we're back with the Matatanes podcast. We have John here from Gradum and in Willoughby. We discussed a little bit about launch angles and all that stuff. But I want to ask you this question. I know we talked about a video analysis. What does that entail?
Sure. So everyone that comes in for the free swing evaluation, we take them through a side-by-side video analysis. And, we'll explain, what makes hitters successful. And I'm telling you, it doesn't matter. We'll do side-by-side analysis, for a 10-year-old next to a Mike Trout, Jazz Chisholm, a Mookie Betts. And, we see parents you're really going to compare, my 9-year-old or 10-year-old to a big leaguer? And it's yes.
You have to.
You have to. Because at the end of the day, these guys are having the most success, and the video doesn't lie. Let's take a look at the video and see why these guys are having the most success and why your kid may not be, having the success that you want them to have. So when we get to the video analysis, a lot of it will have to do with the kinematic sequence. Simple terms, we want to get into our legs first. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to look at with anyone is that foundation. I know it sounds cheesy, but we want to build a house from the ground up. So the first thing we're going to take a look at is that player, one, getting into their back hip, into their glutes and hamstrings and making that positive move forward. Okay, we see a lot of kids coming in that they don't have power and they're stuck on the backside. They're not making that positive move forward back to the pitcher. So that's the first thing that we're going to take a look at. Then once we establish that, we're going to go to the trunk. All right, is that trunk starting to rotate? Okay, are our hands staying connected to our back shoulder? A lot of kids will disconnect from the back shoulder, drop their hands here, disconnect back. There's 4 different ways where the hands will disconnect. So we want to make sure after we establish the legs that the trunk is rotating and the hands are staying connected to the back shoulder, and we're getting into a proper bat leg position.
Okay.
I know a lot of this sounds a little technical, but once we go through the drill work, it becomes, pretty easy. We keep it simple. So once we get into bat leg is a position where the bat is parallel to the ground. We want to make sure our back shoulder, back hip, back knee, and back elbow are lined up. During the course of a season, are we going to be a little out front, a little behind? Sure. The third thing that we'll take a look at is contact point. We want to be making contact off of our front foot. Okay. At the end of the day, again, are we going to be a little behind our front foot, a little out front of our front foot? Sure. But we want that perfection in the cage. We want to let that ball travel. All right. And Barry Bonds kind of talks about this as well. At contact point, we want our barrel to be an extension of our lead forearm. So we'll want to
Was that why he was so good?
Well, he does everything that we teach at Gradum. He has that positive move, right? He's connected. He's in a good kinematic sequence, and he has that follow through, which is the last thing that we take a look at. We want to make sure we're holding our direction back towards the center of the field, which is kind of what we talked about earlier. And then we have a phrase where we call it the money gap. Are we getting to that money gap position where we have that gap between our top arm and our lower arm? That tells us, much like a golfer, we're holding that direction towards the center of the cage. So we'll go through all of that during the side-by-side analysis. We'll show, different pros, right? A Mookie Betts, a Guerrero, a Lindor. These guys all don't have the same hitting instructor, but they're all moving the same way.
And they're all on time.
And they're correct. Okay. Correct.
Wow, that's that you gave us a lot of information there, but it's amazing how much technology has helped the game because I was watching a meme of a 13-year-old kid probably when we were back younger and now and like they're all stacked up. So we talked about building exit velo, right? So after you do the evaluation, what's next?
Sure. I mean, so every kid's going to be a little bit different. Okay?
Absolutely.
I would say 90% of the people that come in, they're not utilizing their legs correctly. Okay, so we'll put a program together to get them using their legs correctly. Some people do come in and they're using their legs correctly, but they don't have good direction. So that person's a little bit different where we don't have to focus on the legs so much. We'll focus on direction. Again, everyone's different. Someone might need more connection. Depending on what the player needs, we'll go ahead and put a program together for them.
Okay, so how long is the program? So, like, how long would is there like some type of 2 days a week, 3 days a week, 1 day a week? Like, how do you guys do it? Or
great question. The cadence we like to see is come in once a week.
Okay.
Kind of understand what we did that day. And if you have a place to hit at home, most places, most people have a tee or a net in the garage, mainly for the legs where they can start working on their leg drills. And then, after that, once a week, about once a week. Some people come in more than that as the season, gets a little bit closer. They'll want to see more velo off the machine, maybe some curveballs, sliders, things like that, whatever their weakness is. But generally speaking, I like to use the analogy of, you play a musical instrument, whether it's piano or violin, you go to that lesson once a week, and then, you go home and you put in that practice. So next time you come in, boom, that's done. Let's move on to the next thing. That
makes sense. That way you're not cramming everything in 1 week. So
correct.
Wow. This is obviously I've been there quite a few times and all the stuff you're talking about. It's just amazing to see, especially with all the better players out there. So, so they come once a week. So let's say somebody goes to you for a 2-month period. What's the average increase in exit velo that you see? So, like, let's say somebody came in at 79 or 80 miles an hour exit velo. Like in a 2 month, if they're doing everything, they're doing the extra work, they're coming to you once a week. What's the average exit velo that you would see the increase?
That's a great question. So again, it's going to be dependent on the player and the size of the player, right? Force equals mass times acceleration. Yeah. But the average that we see is anywhere from 5 to 15 miles an hour in a few months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. There have people that have gotten a little bit more than that. But I would say the average is about 5 to 15 miles per hour exit velocity.
Okay, so in baseball terms, because back in the day when we played, we didn't use that. Like, why is exit velo so important now in baseball?
That's another great question. Exit velocity. Okay, so for every mile per hour exit velocity that we gain, depending on the launch angle, we can add 4 to 7 feet of ball flight.
Wow.
Okay, so if we're talking about a 12-year-old. He may be hitting the ball 60 miles an hour and, 165, 170 feet. Now, if we can add 10 miles an hour of exit velocity, right, we can add anywhere to 40 to 70 feet of ball flight, depending on that launch angle. So now he's hitting home runs, okay? The singles and doubles are now turning into home runs. And that, the same thing applies for a high school kid, college kid, pro guy.
Okay. So does it matter? I'm sorry to cut you off.
No.
Does it matter? Obviously, 12U use it like drop 8, drop 10. So when they make the transition to BB Core, how does that transition go? Let's say somebody started working with you at 13U. They're still using drop 8, drop 5s. Then when they go 14, 15U, they go to a BB Core. How do they transition to that?
It's depending on the size of the athlete. I mean, we've seen, some freshmen at the local high schools that are just monsters already. They're already like 170 pounds. They've been swinging, a drop 3 or drop 5, honestly, since the 7th grade. They've been preparing for high school. The ones that haven't, it could be a little bit of a challenge. Some of these bats, like the Hype Fires and the Icons, they give a little false sense of reality for what's coming. But honestly, like the exit velo numbers aren't that much different. So I mean, if you're a 13-year-old or 14-year-old and you're in the 80s, when you go to BB Core, you should still kind of be near there in the 80s. I mean, we've seen kids come in with the wood bat, and they're kind of right where they need to be anyway. With some of these aluminums. But yeah, there is a little bit of a drop off, but it's not too crazy.
Okay. Oh, this is great. But now I'm going to ask you a personal question. So how's your son? How old is your son?
He's 12 now.
He's 12. Okay. So this year you went to NTIS?
Correct. Yeah. Down in Cary, North Carolina.
How was that?
It was incredible. It was incredible.
I know we did it last year and it was amazing. Like those fields are amazing. How did that experience, how was that for him? How did he take it in? Like when?
I mean, right away, you could tell he was a little bit nervous.
Okay.
We're all aware of the 6 foot, 175 pound, 180 pound 12-year-old. So opening ceremonies, things like that, we're walking around and, you see kids that are a lot bigger and stronger. So, at first he was a little nervous, but I mean, you knew he was still confident. So when we started the whole tryout, the whole tournament, he didn't play the first half of that first game. Coach put him in, and he got around the 5th inning. He got a couple hits. Okay. Next game, he was hitting 7th, and then I'll just fast forward. By the championship game against the Southwest team, he was batting 4. And starting at second base. So
that's great. He took advantage of his opportunities, and that's one of the things I talk to my son Manny all the time. Like when you're given an opportunity, you have to take advantage of it. In baseball, there was a baseball player that said, "Whoever makes the adjustment first is the one that's going to be successful in the game." So obviously, Johnny worked with you at Gradum, right?
Correct.
Okay, no, that makes sense. But it's amazing to see, like when somebody like. I had my son, he started batting 9th in high school as a freshman in varsity, then moved down to 7, 6, and by the end of the season, he was hitting 2nd. So that's amazing to see the progress on what these kids are doing. So, yeah, are you going to do the USA again next year?
Yeah, we'll do it again, absolutely. It's a great experience, and, to bring it back to Gradum, and where we kind of started with everything, just like everyone else, we've done our research. We've been to different hitting coaches. We've tried different methods. And then ever since we went to Gradum, we've seen the improvement, the philosophies and everything. So, yes, I'm the owner of the facility. I'm an instructor, but I'm also a parent.
Absolutely.
And I wouldn't put anyone else's kid, through something if I thought they were going to fail. So I've seen it work from a parent perspective. And I mean, it works. It works at the highest level. It works I'm telling you, it works all the way down to a 9-year-old.
Okay. Hey, that is amazing. I know we didn't, I just wanted to ask you that question because, again, that experience to go to, the NTIS USA, it's amazing. But we're going to take a little break. We're here with John from Gradum in Willoughby. I'll put the address, the phone number. You could contact them. Great people. They have a great program. The facility is a state-of-the-art facility. Has some nice couches there, and
don't forget that Cuban coffee.
Yeah, Cuban coffee, and there's if you want your kid to get an analysis, they'll do a free analysis. If you don't think that the place is right for you, or your kid is not ready, you don't have to do it. So this is something amazing. So we'll be right back with the Matatanes podcast. And we're back with the Matatanes podcast. John here, Gradum, G-Swing. Where's the G-Swing come from?
I mean, just the phrase I believe his sons Matt and Carlos kind of coined, like that. This is the G-Swing. I mean, this is what it is.
Okay, because that reminds me a little bit about Ken Griffey.
Okay,
his swing was kind of like so nice and beautiful. Have you been watching the pennant race right now?
A little bit. I'm at the facility, quite a bit, involved in lessons. So, while in between lessons, I got MLB.TV, so we put on a bunch of different games. But yeah, for sure,
it's crazy. The American League, there's like 5 teams still in it.
There's a lot.
Like I know that I didn't see the standings for it today, but the Tigers are in it. The Twins are in it. What's the other team? You know what? We'll look it up. It's amazing. Who do you think is going to win the World Series this year?
Oh gosh, I mean, how do you not pick the Dodgers with everything that's been going on? But I know they've choked for a while, but maybe this year is their year. I
like the Yankees, man.
I think it'll be a Yankees, Dodgers World Series, and I wouldn't argue that the Yankees wouldn't win it, but
look at this. So you obviously 6 teams advance. So you got Minnesota, who's a game behind Kansas City and Detroit, Seattle, and then even Tampa Bay and the Red Sox are still in it because there's like 6 games left.
Yeah.
The one thing I don't like about this postseason picture, 6 teams advance, but the 1 seed does not play the bottom seed. So it's 3 plays 6,
right?
4 plays 5, and then if 6 wins, 2 will get the better game in a sense.
Right.
I think they should do it like football.
I'm with you, and I'm gonna go back and change my answer. Cleveland's gonna win it all.
See, you said it right. No, it'll be great. It'll be a great series. So many greats. It'll be nice to see Shohei Ohtani, Soto, Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge is having an amazing season.
It's incredible.
He has like 50. Yesterday I checked, he has like 55 home runs.
He's incredible. All these guys are just incredible.
Wow. Why is that? You think it's because of the technology?
Oh gosh, man, how much time we got?
No, we're good. We're good. We got all the time in the world.
I mean, I think it's everything. I know. We've had conversations in the past, and you preach it, I preach it, whether it's Gradum or whatever. It's just, like I mentioned before, that Kaizen principle, that continuous improvement. There's definitely a mindset to it. Okay. I mean, these guys, from probably a young age, whether coming from Puerto Rico or the DR or Japan.
Or the United States. There's a lot of good players from here. Manny Machado played here.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just continuously improving. Hey, what are my weaknesses? Well, let's go work on my weaknesses. Trying to develop all those 5 tools, weight room, and then just that mindset. I mean, you hear guys like Mike Trout talk about it all the time. Derek Jeter, it's on Instagram. Like, hey, maybe you haven't failed yet, but it's coming.
Oh, absolutely.
And how are they going to deal with failure? I think a lot of these guys just have that mindset, that Mamba mentality, that Kobe Bryant mentality. Hey, I understand what it is. I know I'm going to fail, but I'm going to keep working through it and just keep improving.
Wow, that's amazing. You said something very important, the weight room, right? How important is the weight room in increasing your exit velo? I know obviously you got the techniques and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
But how important is it?
Absolutely. So, I mean, that's one of the things we talk about, and to kind of use an analogy is, a little basketball analogy. If the high school rim is 10 feet, right? The college rim is 10 feet high. The pro rim is 10 feet high. If you could dunk in high school, you can dunk in college. You can dunk at the pro level. You can dunk at every arena that's out there. So what we kind of believe in as well is that center field wall. That's the basketball hoop. We're going to teach you how to dunk. Okay?
Wow, that's a great analogy.
So, right. So mass, as I mentioned before, force equals mass times acceleration. So some of these kids don't have the mass to dunk yet. They don't have the ability to dunk. But absolutely, I mean, weight is incredibly important. You have to be in the weight room. You have to be putting on size. Again, depending on your goals. You're trying to go to college, I mean, you need to be hitting the ball, 100 miles per hour. And, for sure. I mean, the upper 80s, low 90s. I mean, it'll play, but hey, we need to be, triple digits.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
So mass is incredible. Mass is extremely important for sure.
Okay. It's funny. My son just gave up hockey because he says I really, really need to. I really, really need to get in this weight room and get stronger. He's a strong kid, but like he goes right behind us over here, like pretty much every day in school and hits every single day. He goes, if I really want to make it to where I want to make it, I really need to focus 120%. And last year he wanted to quit, but I didn't let him. At first I did, but then I'm like, no, you can't quit. But this year I saw it in his face. I'm like, you give me a good reason, I will let you quit. But then he was like, yeah, I really need to focus on this. So it's amazing. You watch these ball players that are so good. And now, you're getting better at hitting. But then at the same time, these pitchers are getting better.
100%.
Like I see 2-0 curveballs, 2-0 sliders, and then they come back and they get you out. They fall 3-0 and then 3-0 curveball for a strike. Like, these kids are getting so good. It's not even funny.
It's not even funny. Where I think where you and I played, it was like, 2-0, here comes the fastball.
Oh, yeah.
Right? 3-0, here comes the fastball. Just sit on it. But no.
No, not anymore. Is that why the batting averages in the major league have dropped?
I'm going to say no.
No?
I'm going to say no. It's and this will be shocking, but I think a lot of the pro guys don't understand how their swing works.
Wow.
I mean, you're going to look at it. You just mentioned Aaron Judge. I mean, he's over 300. There's guys that are hitting over 300, even though pitching is getting ridiculous. Okay, so there is a technique that we need to have. If I use the analogy, we're in a heavyweight fight, right?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I can't handle your left hook, I'm probably going to lose, 8, 9 out of those 10 rounds. So if that left hook is a slider and I'm not training on how to hit a slider better, well, you're going to go and face, a right guy throwing a slider, and I can't handle that pitch because I haven't trained correctly. So,
yeah.
So those, when we talk about batting averages, that's why you have the 200 hitter. Yes, pitching is getting ridiculous, but there's guys that, right now that are hitting above 300, and it's a technique thing.
So in baseball, in the past years, I grew up right next to Yankee Stadium. I used to see lefty on lefty matchups. Is that a thing now? Is it still a thing? But because obviously they got to pitch a full inning before they could come out, right? Or did they change that rule?
No, I think that's still the rule. I'm not positive on it though. But
it's all good.
so don't quote me. But absolutely, it's a thing. And that's where someone like your son's a switch hitter, right?
Yeah, and he hated me for it. Now yesterday all he did was hit lefty. He barely hit in the entire summer left-handed. I'm like, do you realize that Francisco Lindor can never be taken out? Well, I'm stronger right-handed. Yes, you are. But then if you could hit left-handed, you got a righty. And and he goes righty lefty unless there's a lefty pitcher, and I'm like, you have to, you're more marketable, college, anywhere. So I think kids nowadays, so they don't again, you said the major leaguers don't understand their swing a lot of times, but same thing with kids. They don't understand like the process a lot of times.
Correct.
So they just want to go, oh, I want to make it to the major league. But how do you get there? Okay, so if I could be a switch hitter, why don't I do that? Because if I have a good arm, throwing nearly 90 miles an hour across the infield, he threw like 86 the other day from the mound. And it's like, it's only going to make you better. It doesn't matter if you're failing now. So
100%. But you mentioned like the lefty. So what would you rather have, a ball coming into your zone, or away from your zone?
Oh, into you.
Right.
Coming in, you go attack that fast, but especially, you were talking about we go right center, but if they pitch you a pitch in here and you get your bat out, especially some place like Yankee Stadium, like I think Soto picked, and I know I'm going all over the place, but I think Soto picked the best stadium to play in.
Short porch.
Right there. Like, I think Lindor was actually going to go there.
Yeah, I'm shocked he didn't, but I mean, I don't know. I'm not in those meetings, so.
He started really, I thought he was going to stay in Cleveland though. Were you upset when he left?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to have him right now,
Yeah. Well, he's injured, but.
Well, okay.
And then poor Happy Baez. I don't know what happened to that guy. He probably needs to go to Gradum.
Come on in. We're open. We'll give him a free swing evaluation.
Yeah, that's actually pretty cool. But I see. So that's stuff that Gradum.
Yeah, these are some of the clients that we worked with. Just talking about their experiences with Gradum, pro guys, right? Showing some of the drills that we do. Chuck it stick's a big one.
So, why did he ever tell you met the guy?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So did he tell you why he started Gradum?
Same reason that we talked about in the beginning.
Okay.
He just like everyone else was a father, and he actually didn't never play baseball.
What?
He never played baseball. He has 3 sons, and they were playing multiple sports. They gravitated towards baseball. So he said, okay, I'm going to start taking you to, private instructors, coaches, things like that. He's got a very strong math background. So as these lessons were going on, he realized like something didn't make sense. Long story short, as the kids moved up, through levels, high school and some pro ball, he's very self-educated and just kept learning, and he knew there was a better way. And at the end of the day, he found that better way, which led into A-Rod being his first client. So
that is
same story you and I have always.
That is so
around,
amazing. So it's actually the same thing because, we got Matatanes podcast and the little fall team Matatanes. That's another word for elite, in essence. So it's kind of like the same mentality, and it's all about a lot of times we forget, right now, it's all about development.
Preach. I'll just let you go.
It's all about development. But we are going to take a little break and then we're going to close off in a minute. But Gradum, G-Swing, and Willoughby. I know you said you may be looking to go into the west side maybe.
Yeah, we are. I mean, right now, we're looking to go west side and even down south, near the Akron area, Rubber Duck Stadium.
Okay. So we'll be right back and we'll give you more of that information. Matatanes podcast, Gradum. Follow them on Instagram, all social medias out there, and they'll get you ready. We'll be right back. And we're back with the Matatanes podcast. I'm going to give you a little.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah. So, don't forget, GradumGSwing.com is the place where you want to go and hit, and they're going to get you to the next level. But last we left off about, obviously you guys are in Willoughby. It's like about an hour from here, just about. But you were saying that you guys were looking to go to the west side?
Correct. Yeah. We're looking at putting a facility out here on the west side. We have a lot of people that are already coming in that 45 minutes, hour west, and then also south from us near the Akron Rubber Duck Stadium. So. As we grow and we take in more pro clients, we have the ability, where we're at right now, we're by the high A-level stadium, the captains.
Yeah.
So when the pro guys come in, we have a facility east and west that they can pick from, and then we'll also have one down south.
Where would you guys have it on the west side?
We're still looking. Westlake's an option. Avon is an option. Maybe out over here. So just depends on what facility we can find, and if it's a big enough space, and something that we can work with.
I think Independence would be a great spot.
Okay.
Because you got 77, you got 480, you got the stadium here. It's kind of like right center,
I
right
like
there.
It. Sold.
So, yeah, that's I think that will be the best place. That's just me. If it was me,
right?
Because you got highways, you're 15, 20 minutes from everywhere. So
yeah, I mean, obviously something that's easy, accessible off the freeway. People can get to for sure.
Especially by Top Golf.
That's true. That's true. And then we're gonna get people that want to do Top Golf at the baseball facility.
Hey, why not? Just bring them in. But no, that's amazing that you guys are looking to grow, especially bring good product out there and help these kids. Because one of the things that we were playing this weekend, we played an amazing game. We lost 3-1 against a really, really good team. Actually, my good friend Julian Tavares was the one that was coaching that team, and like he doesn't coach that team, but when he saw it was us, he got in the dugout and like he was controlling what to throw because he knows all the kids. So it was a really tense game, but it was a great game, and it's just amazing to just to see somebody that played at the pro level, coach these kids and help them out. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so
develop them and everything.
Yeah, so obviously I have a 12U team called the Matatanes. What I'm going to do is I'll introduce them to John, see if the parents are interested, especially right now. A lot of people say, why do you want to deal with 12-year-olds? And I'm like, because this is the developmental year.
Yes.
Yes, you want to go to Cooperstown. Yes, you want to go here. Yes, you want to go and win every tournament. Am I going out there to win? Absolutely. But at the same time, my main goal is to develop them. That when they get to high school, they could make, whether it's freshman, JV, or varsity. Obviously, everybody's at a different level, like you said.
Sure.
Just make sure they develop. But again, you have these tools out here, Gradum, and they're ready. They're ready to take you on and help you out with your swing. You guys 100%. Do anything else but other than hitting?
No, but that's a great question. Whether it's MLB level down to a 9-year-old, we realize if you don't hit, you're not going to play.
Yep.
So that's why we focus on hitting. We just perfect one thing. We want to see your kid play, and then you touch on development. The saying out there is put your kids in an oven, not a microwave.
That's true.
Like just take your time. Don't worry about all this immediate success. The process works. Just trust the process. Give it some time and play the long game. Right? Everyone wants this immediate impact.
Yeah,
play the long game.
Absolutely. So, one more thing. That last year NCAA changed the rules as far as recruiting, because before, what a lot of these kids were doing, they were reclassing, and then there's a 2027, but he's almost 17 years old. So you think the change from NCAA was a good thing, like where they could commit right in August in the start of their junior year, or committing in high school, in middle school?
I mean, are you talking about like reclassing and everything?
No, not reclassing. So it's like
just a rule change of
you can't commit
as an 8th grader.
Yeah,
I do agree with that, and that just goes back to the whole developmental thing. I think this can go down a whole nother show, but the travel ball. I mean, you had 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds traveling to Florida and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Well, and I guess I understand why, because if your kid's that talented and he can commit to an SEC or a Power 5, as an 8th grader, great. But now that's you don't have to do that. So focus on development. So if a college can't talk to you anyway until going into your junior year, everything we've talked about, develop a swing, get in the weight room, get your arm stronger, develop those 5 tools: hit for power, hit for average, How fast can you run? How's your defense? How hard can you throw? Like we don't need to worry about how I did in the firecracker tournament.
And Manor.
Well, no, that was
well, there is a firecracker
There is one,
tournament, but that is an amazing tournament to go to. Like, especially anybody that's here. I'm going to put my team in that tournament. I know you brought it up, but I think that's a great tournament.
It's a great tournament, but it just came out that way. Just develop your kids.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter. I mean, yes, we want to make sure things are working, but at the same time, like, there's whatever level you want to get to, there's metrics that need to be met. There's certain standards that have to be, to be met to get to that level. If that makes
Absolutely. And to touch back on what you just said, like, kids are going all over. And again, it was a great experience for us. Manny went and played for a scout team, a great organization, East Dodger Scout. If you have the opportunity, go do it. But, it was just becoming way too expensive. Like, the travel to Georgia, Florida, and all this stuff. And it's like, what am I going to do? So we decided to just keep them at T3 and develop them. Again, I'm not bashing that organization. They're great people. John Link played in the major leagues and all that. It's a great, but at the time, like, and they were really, really helpful. But for me, it was just too much, especially with 4 kids. Because that youth baseball now it's such a big business. Like, with PBR, perfect game. I don't know how much money you'll spend in a summer if you let it be that way.
Absolutely. And then what's the end goal? You want to play high school? You want to play college? Well, do I need to take that plane ride? Do I need to pay, 20 nights for hotel rooms? No, train.
Yeah,
train.
Absolutely.
Get in the weight room. Train.
'Cause they'll find you.
They'll find you.
They'll find you. Absolutely. As long as, obviously, again, I think PBR, perfect game, are a great tool.
Yes.
To help the kids. But I think it's more when the kid is ready.
And then with social media today.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Advertise yourself.
Oh my God. That's, that is so, Twitter is probably a godsend when it comes to that, because you post stuff and you tag coaches. Instagram, even TikTok is another one that's actually really good. Mm-hmm. So I hope they don't take it away. I don't know where that's at, but yeah, it's, but again, I know we're a little bit all over the place. Gradum in Willoughby coming soon to the west side, and down south by Akron. They're ready. Don't forget that they will give you a free evaluation on your swing. If the place is not for you, they're not going to be mad at you, and they're always going to have the doors open for you. 100%. I promise you that. I'm a client there, and great people. But before we close everything, my 17-year-old daughter started this at the very, very first podcast I did, and one of her questions is, what will you tell your younger self?
Oof, that's a good one. Embrace the failure.
Wow.
Embrace the failure. That's how you're going to learn and grow. I know, if we're going to talk about baseball, kids that are really successful, sometimes we don't wish that upon them, like, hey, because at some time it's coming.
Yeah.
But embrace the failure. Try to figure out why you failed, learn from it, grow from it. Wow,
that's amazing. It's funny, every time I ask somebody, they have something, and it's like, that's the best one. And then I hear the next one, I'm like, oh. But yeah, so, again, she's amazing, my daughter, Ashlyn, 17. You'll probably see her on one of the podcasts going, and awesome. You'll see why she's amazing. But, again, Matatanes podcast here with John from G Swing. Gradum. John G Swing, Gradum G Swing. Same thing. It's up there somewhere. GradumGswing.com. Follow them on Instagram. I'll put John's information here. Instagram and all that stuff. Go see him. Give him the benefit of the doubt, and you will not regret it. So, any last words?
No. Just maybe just keep developing. Keep developing your kids. It'll pay off in the long run.
Okay, so. You heard it from the man. Matatanes podcast checking out. Have a wonderful day.